Well, hello everybody, and we made it. Boy, you're getting some funny lighting right now. The sun is directly above me, but I don't think that's going to be too much of a distraction. I've been trying to move around here, having a backyard vlog to find a place where I can still read my screen and not have too big of glare from the sun. So either it's this way and the sun's landing on the screen, or it's the other way and I'm facing directly into the sun. So happy Sunday afternoon, everybody. We're going to start today with a couple of really interesting stories. I think the one that is going to be of most interest to drivers is going to be the $50 per ride, or per hour, I should say, that Uber is now going to try to roll out. Hi, Lanka, how are you? So I think that's really interesting, and I'm kind of curious how they think that is going to work out. So I'll read a little bit of the story to you, and it's coming up on a lot of different news sources right now. Does it seem like this is leaning to the side? I'll just lean this way more, and it'll seem like it works. Okay, it looks like it's leaning to me a little bit. I'm going to see if I can adjust this. There, that might be better. Hey, Payman. Uber rolls out. Are we ready now? Uber rolls out hourly bookings, priced at $50. Now, that's the first thing that got my attention, because we know that all markets are different. And we have seen markets where mileage varies. And now they're saying they're going to price this at $50 an hour, which just seems very, very strange to me. Gosh, this lighting is so weird and it's directly above. It looks like I have a Herman Munster ridge over my eyebrows. Ride-sharing platform Uber will let users set multiple stops and pay a $50 hourly rate, courtesy of Uber Hourly. So that's what they're calling this new thing, just like they have Uber Eats and Uber XL and everything else. This is going to be called Uber Hourly. It essentially reserves a personal driver for an hour throughout the entire day. Now, it does max this out at 7 hours. So the most you can do is make 350 or charge. Let me back up a little bit. They can charge someone 350 bucks and they get you for the entire day, right? 7 hours. So the article says, it starts out claiming Uber knows something, which makes me a little suspicious of the piece. Uber knows you're trying to get a lot done as quickly as possible, and some trips will just take longer than others due to multiple stops. So Uber Hourly targets users who are going far or stopping often. Here's an interesting thing about this Uber $50 an hour. It bans airports from this. So if someone wants to go to the airport, can't do it. I don't know why. That's what it says, 50 bucks an hour. And you will not get credit for unused hours. So if you rent someone for an hour, boy, that's a terrible way of saying it, but you secure an hour's time and you only use, 40 minutes and your errands are done, yeah, you're out of luck. So here is, boy, look at that. So warm. It's not that warm out. It's only in the maybe mid 60s, but all my ice cubes melted already. So I have a few questions about this. The first one I already raised, and that is how are they going to manage this for different markets? Or are they just saying, okay, all we're going to do is do the $50 an hour for this test. Doesn't matter the market. And then as we figure it out, I gotta mute myself here. As we figure it out, we will adjust it for different markets. I kind of suspect that's what they're going to do, because the markets that are going to be affected here are Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Washington, D.C., Houston, Miami, Orlando, Philly, Phoenix, Seattle, Tacoma, and Tampa Bay. So those are going to be the cities where this is going to roll out. And it's happening right away. It's going to be happening Tuesday. So less than 48 hours from now, people are going to see this on their app ready to use. And it says it's going to monitor the use behavior on the limited number of locations before expanding. So here are my questions. First one I already said. Why 50 bucks? And what makes it think that $50 is going to be the satisfactory number? I think the bigger question is, how are they going to pay drivers? Are drivers still going to be paid by minutes and miles? Because if you are, right out of the gate, you're in for a full 60 minutes, right? So right there, I don't know, keep it easy. If you're making 10 cents a minute, that's $6 just with your time. If you're making 15 cents a minute, you're making $9 for that hour, just for the time. And tack on top of that the miles that you're going to use. Now, what about waiting time? Are they going to include waiting time? Because if people buy you for an hour, and again, I know that sounds terrible, but if people take that hourly option and now they go to the store and they run into the store and they're, shopping for 12 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, are you sitting there now off the clock? Or is that whole hour consider your drive time? Or are they only going to allow you to count the time that that vehicle is moving? That's what I want to know. So, well, that was my next question, Payman. Payman asks, what percentage of that goes to the driver? That's why I'm asking, how is the driver being reimbursed? Is it still just by their miles and minutes, and it's really Uber that's getting the 50 bucks? Because if that's what it is, I don't know it's going to be a great deal for us. First of all, 50 bucks sounds great, 50 bucks an hour, but Uber's taking something. They're taking something. So, and it's going to be more than just the booking fee. So I'm just wondering if all we get is the regular mileage and minutes, and it's only for the time that the car is in motion. I don't know if it's going to be a great idea. If someone knows that they are going to a location, and it typically costs them, 25 bucks to go there and 25 bucks to go back, and it's not a whole lot of miles, but it adds up for them because they have to have a booking fee and everything. They might opt for this. Now, John just posted, I heard driver will get $36 of the 50. I don't know, I haven't seen that, but let's say that's right. Is that enough? What if they're driving constantly for that $50? What if they want to take you for 50 bucks and they want to go, I don't know, someplace that is kind of out in the boondocks, and it's, an hour's drive. So they rent you for 50 bucks and you go out to this desolate location. They're going to visit their family or something, and you drive out there. You're not going to, there's not a lot of Uber action in rural areas and places that are not real urban, or at least suburban. Now what? Now you have to deadhead back that 50 miles before you can get into, or 30 miles, whatever, before you can get into an area where you would normally see business. So even if you get 36 bucks, now you're talking almost 2 hours of your time and a lot of miles. If that is an hour of straight driving, you can put on a lot of miles in an hour. And thinking where I am here, there's a lot of population centers, but most of them, I'm outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Once you get outside of Milwaukee or Madison, there's not a lot going on. It's a lot of rural areas. So if someone says, I want to go to one of these places that I'm not going to name because it would make any difference to you anyway, but let's say someone wants me to go from Milwaukee to Lake Geneva, which is short of an hour, but now there's not going to be a lot of action around there, and now I'll be driving back. So I don't know, what do you think? Leave your comments. Do you think this is going to be a good thing for drivers? I'm inclined that to think it's not. We got a comment here that said, sounds like drug and prostitute running. You never know. Who knows why someone's going to want to use that service. So I'm not seeing a lot of comments on this one, but I think it's really strange. Of course, a lot of people probably don't care if it's not rolling out in your market, if you're not one of those markets that I mentioned. Once again, that is going to be, what does it say? Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, DC, Houston, Miami, Orlando, Philly, Phoenix, Seattle, Tacoma, Tampa. So it's 12 cities that it's going to be in. Starting June 2nd, everybody. So buckle up. You might be in for some hour-long commitments. The other question I have, what if, you know, your driver or your rider is a real jerk and you just don't want to spend an hour with them? Now what do we do? By the way, I finally picked up some olives. Did I find a place that had some great olives? Nice, big, plump olives. I got some pimento stuffed olives. I got some, the birds are here. I got some blue cheese stuffed olives. They had almond stuffed. I didn't get the almond stuff this time, but yeah, I don't know, Roger. You could be onto something. So the next thing that I wanted to go to is Jump. Uber took a dump on the Jump. They quit Jump, less than 2 years old. If you remember, that was going to be their savior because people wanted to get around different ways. They didn't really want to use cars. They wanted to be more environmentally responsible. So what they did is they started having the bike service. So what's happened now is they got rid of it and they sold it to Lime. But Lime only wanted some of their bicycles, or I guess their electric motorized things. Remember when that first started and they were having people that go around and collect all those bikes and then charge them overnight and then take them back to the stop? Is that still going on? I haven't heard anyone doing that anymore, or if it's even still happening. I don't know how those bikes are getting charged. Has anyone heard about that, or is anyone doing it? So someone is commenting on our past topic. Lyft has started a $500 bonus for 75 rides until Friday in LA. Riders will be paying for those bonuses and are already complaining. 75 rides, that's, for some people, that's their entire week. Do you have to do it in a certain time zone or a certain time period? You have to qualify for Comfort Drive. John, what is that? Is that for the $50? I would have preferred a broker-based system where people can negotiate the rate with the broker, and then the broker would try to find the driver to cover it. Well, the problem is they kind of tried that little experiment that's very similar to when they said you could set your own price. I don't know whatever happened to that, but remember, drivers were really complaining about that payment because they were getting undermined, and there were people out there that were willing to drive for, I don't know, it seemed like from what I was hearing, people were willing to drive for less than it would have cost to upkeep the vehicle. And that's the problem with that brokerage stuff. I did a ride and it paid me $3.04. The rider was upset, said he takes the same ride every Friday and it's normally $67. They charge him $9.85. He was furious. So you got 30%, less than 30%. And see, that's the whole problem. And I don't want to come here to complain. People don't want to hear the griping, right? This channel's already a channel in decline. But, you know, when it started, when I started, it was 75-25 split. I got 75, they got 25. Some people even got in before me when it was a 20-80 split. And so that didn't work for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why a company can't get by with 25% when we're absorbing all the expenses. I mean, true, they have to upkeep hubs. I get it. and they have to, manage the app. But, it seemed to me if they would stop with all the other foolishness, the flying cars and the self-driving cars, which has been put on hold now, and all of that nonsense, and just do what works. By the way, how's the wind sounding to all of you? I got my mic on here to my shirt today. I knew it was a little breezy out here. And then I put the windscreen on, so I hope that I'm, look at my neighbor there, taking his ladder out. I'm hoping it sounds okay for you. So, Payman, you're right. They could stick with the broker, but I think what would happen is most of us would be very disappointed because it would be the brokers that would undermine us to the point where nobody could make a decent living. And that's what I suspect would be happening. The other thing that I've been saying for a long time now, one thing that I think would really, really help Uber, and I don't know why they fight it so much, and that's to have a true scheduled system. In other words, someone can say, I need a ride tomorrow morning to the airport at 8 o'clock. They can put that in, and a driver can get assigned to it, or a driver can raise his hand and say, yeah, I'll take that one. And now I know where I'm going. I know what's happening at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. I know where I have to be to pick this person up. I know where I'm going, and I can better schedule my day. I don't know why Uber is so reluctant to do that. I know a lot of people, I'm included, that really feel uncomfortable with rideshare as a rider because you never know when someone's going to be around. Now I get it. Those of you who are in the deeply, heavily populated urban areas, there's always going to be someone. But I think they could really expand in the suburban markets by allowing true ride scheduling. And I think when they have the schedule ride feature, it's so misunderstood and misrepresented. So people think a car is going to be here. And as we all know, all that means it's going to send a ping out at that time. And sometimes it doesn't even work. So let's see. That's how they're able to show earnings. The $50 won't last but 3 days. Well, I wonder, are people going to be allowed to opt in? Or is it just going to show up on, I'm curious how it's going to work. Or is it just suddenly going to show up on my ride? It says, here's your $50 ride for the next hour. So I don't know. In practice, brokers find ways to their own. I don't know, Payman. The problem is we're locked into a platform. So if they replace us with robot cars, they have to take on the risk. They can be so, they'll never replace us with robot cars. I still don't get that idea. Because in my mind, if there's robot cars, why wouldn't I just buy my own robot car? I mean, wouldn't that be the better way to go? Why would I even need Uber and Lyft then? Why do I need them? I'll buy my own robot car. And it'll be there for me. I can go to work, and then I could send it back to my kid or my spouse, and then they could go somewhere, and then they could send it back to me, because it could drive on its own. There would be no, I shouldn't say it would no longer be a need, but it would be so greatly reduced for people to have, 2-car families or more. Because the reason that, a lot of times we can't share cars, if one person drives the car to work, that's where it stays the rest of the day. Unless the other person can drive them and then take the car back. So I don't think it'll happen. They do have scheduled ride picks, but John, they don't. They don't, unless they have it in your market. They don't here. I understand Lyft does, but I don't drive for Lyft, so I can't speak to that with, with any degree of authority. But Uber has the schedule a ride, but you're not really scheduling with a certain driver. And if I'm wrong about that, fine, correct me, but what market does that? James said all they have to do is the basics. Well, if they would go, I think if they would go back to the basics, I think they'd be onto something. I think if they went back to the basics, they would, they can make a whole lot more money. But they went ahead and they sold Jump because obviously Jump wasn't profitable for them. So here's what's going on now. They got rid of Jump. Jump doesn't exist. And they sold the bikes to Lime. Lime doesn't want all the bikes. Lime just wants select bikes, the best, the cream of the crop, the ones that haven't been abused. Or as one person on my channel always says, throw a bike in the lake or throw a bike in the river. So anyway, so what they're doing is they're scooping up all these bikes and, you know, they're scrapping them out, and people are upset about it because the environmentalist crowd are saying, you know, I don't know. They're saying you're now, I don't know what they're upset about, that they're not properly recycling that. I don't know what it is, but they're upset about it. So apparently they tried something, it didn't work out. They kind of blamed the COVID for it, but I don't know how that could really cause a decline in ridership. I would think that if people were going to ride a bike, they're going to ride a bike, right? To get where they're going to go. If they're afraid of being in a closed-in place, they'd be more inclined to ride a bike than a car. So I don't understand all the ramifications, but that's what, you know, everything I've been reading, they're kind of saying that COVID is really what killed it. I suspect there's more to it than that, because COVID came down so quickly that I don't think they were going to, that they would dump something all that quick. But it does say videos and photos are surfacing of thousands of Uber Jump bikes and scooters stripped of parts and crammed into trucks to be scrapped. Thousands of vehicles didn't transition to Lime, which required only bicycles that have been made available for consumer use in cities that hadn't been made available for consumer use in cities. Roughly 20 to 30,000 Jump vehicles have now disappeared from the streets in recent weeks. And someone is saying here they have zero accountability for responsible recycling. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with it. I don't know where they're getting that information from. But it's just interesting that they're shutting down that entire branch. So let's see what we got going here. Looks like a beautiful day. It's not a bad day. It's a little chilly, a little breezy. It's not a really shorts and t-shirt day. I mean, it could be if the wind wasn't blowing. It's probably 65 degrees, maybe sunny. You can hear all the birds tweeting away. In Amsterdam, they drained the canal to pull all the bikes out. So someone was listening to that person on my channel that says throw a bike in the river, right? Any violent protesters in San Diego 3 miles away, they looted the grill. I don't know, I don't understand it. Okay, I think we are back. So I think it's a funny thing what's happening with those protests. Because for one thing, by robbing and looting and setting fires to things is not really supporting your cause. And I suspect the people that really believe in the cause are not the ones that are doing the robbing and looting and arson. And the people, but what kills me about this, people are looting and they're setting fire to, you know, Target stores, and they're wearing masks. Okay, we all know, in theory, the reason you use a mask is so you don't infect other people, right? I mean, the science says it's not to protect you. It's coughing and sneezing and, you know, spittle when you talk and all that. So do you think these people that are looting and setting fire to stores are really looking out for the well-being of other people? Or do you think they're wearing the mask just so they won't be identified on camera? Just a thought. So, yeah, they're violent protesters in all the big cities, I think. I just don't go to that area. Okay, I don't know if we're still on or not. I don't think we are. I think it's buffering right now. But they should have rented electric bikes to delivery drivers. They can have a faster process of delivering food. Well, I think some delivery drivers have their own bikes. They don't need to rent them, right? I don't know why we're having such... I may have to cut this one short if we keep having these buffering issues. I know that's not an entertaining way to watch when it keeps a buffer. I'm in the same spot I always am with the same internet I'm always in, hooked up to. So I'm not really sure why it would not be having a good connection. Yeah, there are only 4 thumbs up. Why is that? That's a darn good point. We only have 4 thumbs up here. Oh man, my touchpad here on my computer is really getting hot. And now what happened? You know what's happening? That's getting hot, and now my touchpad isn't working, and it just turned off my feed. So we'll have to start to... Boy, that's weird. I never had that happen before. God, we are just full of glitches today, huh? Okay, now we got 7. I'm counting 7 here. What's happening, it's really hot. It's beating down, and I think it's fooling my touchpad for some reason. So the feed has COVID. They broke into the iPhone store in Scottsdale, yeah. And really, how is that supporting the situation? You know, by breaking into a store and stealing stuff. I don't get it. So if they broke into the iPhone store, we know it's not somebody that's hungry and needs food, right? And when they set fire to a Target store, they're not setting fire to it because they're in dire need of food. Why don't you have a hot tub? I'd never use it. First of all, as you can tell, I am surrounded by... all these yards are so open. I don't want to sit here in a hot tub with all my neighbors watching. And I don't want to put up a big 8-foot fence around it and feel secluded. Why sit in a hot tub in a beautiful yard and then have a big fence around you? Thirdly, I do have, you know, one of those big jacuzzi tubs up in my bathroom. Never gets used. So it's something I would never ever use. And finally, the climate here in Wisconsin is not real conducive for an outdoor hot tub. So those are all the reasons I don't have a hot tub. It's a big market for delivery bikes being rented. I don't know, James. I only report the news and comment on the news. I don't know everything. And the things I don't know, unlike other YouTubers, I don't pretend to know. I just tell you, I don't know. I asked before the connection issues, some of these people might... I just said, answer that, Casey. I don't think someone breaking into an IT store is doing it because they're hungry. I don't think someone that's setting fire to a Target is doing it because they're hungry. You know, if they were hungry, they would be breaking into a food store and stealing food. I made $4.50 a day doing Uber. That's great. That's great. $4.50 a day. That's fantastic. Man, you can almost pull down a... Well, if you do that regularly, you can easily pull down a $2,000 week. Only working a week, right? Now, how long were you working? You know, were you putting in the full day? Were you working, you know, 4 a.m. till midnight? Or that comes into play as well. Beautiful day in California, but I won't be driving Uber Eats because somebody might bash my windows with hammers. Really, it's that bad there that you're concerned you can't leave your home? That's not a concern where I live. I am not in an area where there's, you know, violent demonstrations going on. So that's it's not something, fortunately, I have to concern myself. See, 12 hours, that's a lot of work. I don't know, but we all have to determine our own worth and how much our time is worth to us and how much we want to earn and all that, right? I used to have a job where I could I was, working independently, and I could get booked at about 1500 to 1750 for about 90 minutes work, and I could get 2 bookings in an evening. And I did that once a week, but Okay, I think we're back now. If that happens again, I'm just gonna call it a day because this is ridiculous. I don't know why we're having that bad a connection here. I know for sure that it's a big market for delivery drivers. I've seen New York City, Philadelphia, and see there is too much buffering, Bob. I agree. I agree. So I am seeing a buffer now. It doesn't seem to be buffering on my feed. So Mayor of Minneapolis is claiming a majority of riders arrested are from out of state. Well, where are they coming from? Minneapolis is, it's pretty isolated up there. They're not coming from northern Wisconsin. There is no major population center in northern Wisconsin, northeastern Wisconsin. So where are they coming from? Do I think that the device I'm using is the issue, not the internet? I doubt it. I've been using the same device, the same internet that I've been using regularly, and it's always worked for us. So it could be. I don't know. So it's absolutely a possibility, but if it keeps up this way, there's no point. I'm not going to make you guys sit through this stuff because this is ridiculous to try to run a. Maybe I'll wait until later in the evening and see if the signal strength it could be that there's a lot of internet use in the area and people are just overloading the system too. But right now I'm looking. I think you can hear me, but it looks like you got to put on glasses to see me clearly. So, Bob, you're gonna head out. You're gonna bail on us. I fully understand. Signed into Drive Select and got a ping for an X call. Oh, they're gonna do that to you. Yeah, absolutely. And people are gonna take advantage of that too, because they know it. So they're gonna. The more that happens, the less people are gonna use the better services, because they know that they're just going to get they can order the lowest service and maybe get a better quality car. Yeah, I'm really close to my router. It's through a window, but I'm only about 8 feet from my router, so I don't think it's that. But as soon as it stops buffering, I think I'm just gonna bring this to a close. So I think we said what we had to say, and I'll see if I can pick out some of the best pieces, and maybe we'll trim them down to a usable video. So what we're going to do, everybody, I want to thank you for spending this part of your Sunday with me. I apologize for the bad connection here today. We'll try it another time. If you're wondering when I do live streams, I've been doing them pretty regularly on Sunday afternoons and Sunday evenings. Usually in my community area, I will announce when the live streams are going to be. So as always, I encourage you to like and share the videos. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe by clicking my face in the corner, and don't forget to ring that bell icon so you know when I post new videos. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next time when we have a better connection. So long.